questions or comments or requests that I reread a favorite passage. His delight was rather contagious. But by the time we were on the 4th volume, the novelty had begun to wane. And anyway, I was feeling strong enough to be restless. More than once I brought up the subject of my departure. But Mr. Todd seemed obtuse and paid no attention. Finally, one day, he actually became a bit menacing about it. I had just finished a chapter of Bleak Heart and was resting my eyes for a moment.
You know, Mr. Last, you read even better than my father. Even better, I might add, than Mr. Washington.
Well, we still have a lot to get through. I hope I shall be able to finish it before I leave.
Oh, yes, don't disturb yourself about that. You'll have time to finish it, my friend.
Look, Mr. Todd, the time's come when I really must be thinking of getting back to civilization. I've already imposed on you much too long.
Oh, not at all, Mr. Lost. It's been a pleasure, a great pleasure.
I know. But still, how soon do you think I'll be able to get a boat?
A boat?
Yes, to go downriver. Oh, no, you know I appreciate all your kindness more than I can say.
Oh, Mr. Lost, any kindness I may have shown is amply repaid by your reading of Dickens. Do not let us mention the subject again.
Well, I'm very glad you've enjoyed it, but I really must be thinking of getting back.
Oh, yes, the other Englishman's like that, too. He thought about it all the time. But he died here, poor chap.
Mr. Todd, how long was he here, the other Englishman?
Oh, now, I don't recall exactly. We pay so little attention to time down here, you know.
Well, did he read all of Dickens to you?
It was a long time ago. But I do remember Dombey and Son 3 or 4 times.
3 or 4 times? But you said it took 2 years each time to go all through.
Yes, about that.
Mr. Todd, why did he stay here all those years?
Well, I don't know. I never asked.
But there must have been some reason.
Well, he never said.
All right. But I really must press the point. When can I get a boat?
There is no boat.
Well, then the Indians can build one.
Well, you must wait for the rains. There isn't enough water in the river now.
Well, how long will that be?
Oh, a month, 2 months.
All right, then. I'll wait a month or two.
Of course. Now, let's get on. Now, it's so interesting what Dickens has to say about the law's delay. Bleak Heart has always been such a favorite of mine.
And so, in spite of everything, at least I knew what I was waiting for. And so it only remained for the rains to begin. I waited as patiently as I could, living with gaudy dreams of my return to England. Until one day, as we were reading, Mr. Todd explained all that away.
I think Mrs. Jellyby does not take enough care of her children.
But still, Dickens has great sympathy for her. He'd been poor himself, you know. What's that? Listen.
Yes, shall we go on now?
Rain. The rain has begun, Mr. Todd.
Of course, it's the time for it, but do let's finish that chat.
No, later. I must go and talk to the Indians about building a boat. I can leave now, don't you see?
Oh?
Certainly, the river will be full soon, and in a week I'll be off.
Oh, I'm afraid that's impossible, Mr. Last.
Impossible? Why?
Oh, the Indians won't make a boat during the rainy season. It's one of their superstitions.
Is that true?
Ask them.
I think you might have told me.
You didn't, huh?
Why didn't you mention it then?
I must have forgotten.
I suppose. You've forgotten nothing, Mr. Todd. I'm satisfied now that you're holding me here against my will. I demand to be released.
Of course, you're perfectly free.
Now, look here. You've saved my life. And when I get back to civilization, I'll reward you to the best of my ability. I'll give you anything within reason.
But, my friend, there's nothing keeping you here. You're under no restraint.
I demand to be released.
Then go when you like.
Stop that. You know very well I can't get away without your help.
Then, in that case, you must humor an old man. Read me the rest of the chapter.
No, Mr. Todd. I've read for the last time.
Oh, I hope not, Mr. Last. Oh, I sincerely hope not.
That evening at supper, only one plate of dried meat was brought in, and Mr. Todd ate alone. Next day at noon, a single plate was again put before him, but with it lay his gun, cocked on his knee as he ate. And so I resumed the reading of Bleak Heart, where it had been interrupted. And then, as though to make my situation even clearer to me, I came upon a scrawled note stuck between the book's pages, and I read it with growing horror.
What is it, Mr. Last? What have you there?
This document. It was here in the book.
Document? What document?
Don't you know? Then I shall read it to you, Mr. Todd.
If you like. It seems a pity to interrupt Dickens, though.
Year 1930. I, James Todd of Brazil, do swear to Barnabas Washington of Georgetown that when he finishes this book, in fact, Martin Chuzzlewit, I will let him return to civilization without delay. Then there's an X, and after it, Mr. Todd made this mark. Signed Barnabas Washington.
Ah, yes. Poor Barnabas. He died before he could get out.
And if I remember the marker you put up, he died in 1942. Is that right, Mr. Todd?
Excuse me, Mr. Last. I nearly forgot something. I meant to mention it earlier.
Yes?
The Indians tell me that you were trying to speak to them this morning.
I was.
Of course. But may I suggest that it would be easier for you to say anything you wish through me? You realize, do you not, that they do nothing without my authority. They regard themselves, and quite rightly in many cases, as my children.
I have nothing to hide. I was asking them about a boat.
So they gave me to understand. And now, if we finish, do let's get on with our reading. I'm quite absorbed in the book.
We finished Bleak House, and Oliver Twist, and Great Expectations, and Nicholas Nickleby, the Old Curiosity Shop, Little Dorrit, Edwin Drood. More than a year passed, and Mr. Todd began looking forward to starting all over again. The empty days followed one another in hopeless succession, until one morning, a stranger suddenly arrived in the savannah, a prospector, one of that lonely order of men who wander for a lifetime through the forest, tracing the streams for gold. Mr. Todd was out, pottering about on business for the farm, when the man appeared. I found him a plate of meat and Perrine and eagerly sat down at the table across from him.
Nice setup you got here.
Look here. Where are you bound for?
Manaus. Need a new outfit.
You've got to do something for me. It's terribly important.
Well, sure, pal. What is it?
Here, take this. Give it to somebody in Manaus, the police, the mayor, or somebody. Tell him you found me, and to get in touch with the British consul.
Well, I ain't going to get in trouble with it, am I?
No. Look, this isn't my home. I'm a member of the Messenger expedition. Dr. Messenger was drowned, and I've been held prisoner here ever since. You're my only hope of ever getting out. Do you understand?
You sound like a jungle head to me, but I'll do it for you if that's what you want.
You must, please.
Well, one thing, though.
What?
Wouldn't it be simpler if you just came along with me?
No, I'm afraid not.
Why?
First, there are Mr. Todd's Indians. I can't take 2 steps into the jungle without one of them after me.
Oh.
And then Mr. Todd has a shotgun.
You, mustn't mind Mr. Last, my friend. Touch of fever, you know.
This is Mr. Todd. Let's you see what I mean.
I warned you about getting up too soon, Mr. Last. My guess you're going to have a time of it now.
I have no fever, and you know it.
Well, you boys settle this between yourselves. I've got to shove on enough. Thanks for lunch.
But you will...
Like I said, why not? Don't bother to see me off. So long.
You're going to let him go?
Of course. Oh, come, Mr. Last. I think we're going to begin Little Dorrit today. I'm most anxious to hear it again.
From then on, there was hope. And as the weeks passed, I endured each day in confident anticipation of what might happen on the morrow. I even felt a slight stirring of cordiality towards my jailer. And therefore, I quite willingly joined him when one evening he proposed that we attend a native feast. There was a lot of singing in an apathetic, monotonous manner. And then we were given a small calabash of kuwari to drink. It was a pleasant beverage with a flavor of honey and brown bread. And etiquette required that we drink it down without lowering the gourd. I had several, and soon after grew warm and drowsy, and dozed happily off in a hammock, dreaming of fine claret and the white cliffs of England.
Mr. Last. Mr. Last. You better come and eat something. You will starve to death here.
No. Oh, my head. I must have been quite tight last night. Treacherous drink, that.
Now, how do you feel?
Rotten. That drink doesn't seem to agree with me.
Well, I'll give you something to make you better. The forest has remedies for everything, to make you awake and to make you sleep.
Oh, I say, you haven't seen my watch anywhere?
You've missed it?
Yes, I thought I was wearing it. You know, I've never slept so long.
Not since you were a baby. Do you know how long?
No.
2 days.
Oh, nonsense, I can't
2 whole days. And it's a pity, too, because you missed our guest. Yes. Oh, I've been quite gay while you were asleep. 3 men from outside, Englishmen. It's a pity you missed them, and a pity for them, too. They particularly wished to see you.
No.
Yes, they came all the way to find you, all the way from England. But since you couldn't greet them yourself, I gave them a little souvenir. Your watch.
My watch?
Oh, like
You gave them my watch?
You shouldn't mind. You see, they had to have something to take back with them. A reward is being offered for news of you. They seem very pleased of it.
Couldn't. Even you. It's like killing a
And
man.
they took some photographs of the little cross I put up to commemorate your coming, but not before I put another date on it, you know.
You did. You killed me, didn't you? You
I
killed
think
me.
in general they were quite pleased, but I don't suppose they'll visit us again. Our life here is so retired, no pleasures except reading. No, I don't suppose you'll ever have visitors again. But come, your head aches. I'll get some medicine for you. You're just upset. Look, we won't have any Dickens today.
My whole life.
But tomorrow and the day after and the day after that. Do let us read Little Dorrit again, Mr. Locke. I tell you, there are passages in that book I can never share without the temptation to weep.
Under the direction of Anthony Ellis, Escape has brought you The Man Who Liked Dickens by Evelyn Waugh, especially adapted for Escape by John Meston, and starring Terry Kilburn as Tony with Joseph Kearns as Mr. Todd. Featured in the cast were Ramsey Hill and Joe Cranston. The special music for Escape is composed and conducted by Leith Stevens. Next week.
You are standing in a Mexican bull ring, your body racked with fear, while in front of you the terrible horns of a huge fighting bull are waiting, and all around you the crowd is demanding that you move in and come even closer to death.
So listen next week when Escape brings you Anthony Barrett's exciting story, Nightmare in the Sun. This is Roy Rowan speaking. And remember, America is listening with 14 million kitchen radios and listens both to the CBS Radio Network.